Welcome back to Build Your Legacy Insurance Edition podcast.
Welcome back. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you.
Well, so here's my question, Bill. What do you want to talk about today?
I think the topic we need to talk about is independent insurance agencies versus captive insurance agencies.
That's a good one.
Let's talk about which one's better and where are they different? Why are they different?
Yeah. So let's start with captive.
Yeah.
I've got my opinion. First thing I think of with captive is I think of one company.
That's what I think of.
That's what you think of as well?
Yeah. The insurance agency represents one carrier.
If they have options outside of that, very limited.
Very limited. The client doesn't have an option with a captive.
Okay.
They go to the agency. The agency really has to place all their business with one specific insurance company.
Yeah. If there are other options out there within that captive, I think they are financially deterred from writing that business, if that's the right way to put it.
Okay.
So, independent. We're both independent agency guys. We
Yeah.
grew up in independent agencies. What's the difference there?
I think the biggest thing that we look at is going, we work for the client, we work for the insured, the prospect there.
Yeah.
So we can place that business with multiple carriers.
So, options.
Options.
Yeah.
Yep. So it's not for the one carrier, it's for multiple carriers.
Multiple companies, which fits well with that business model of picking and choosing who you want to do business with. Right?
That's right. Yep. Yeah. So I still look at insurance for the independent side is we are independent.
Yeah.
We have the ability to make our own choices.
Yeah. Why is the Mills family independent agencies?
Yeah. I mean, there's a ton of reasons I do believe. And I think one of the words that you threw on earlier is options.
Yeah.
And I think going through being an independent has it where you can create the options you want and you can create them on the fly.
Yeah.
We're not stuck doing certain things. So, for example, carriers. We can pick the carriers that fit what we need with our clients. And furthermore, what those clients need in certain areas, in certain classes of business.
They're not all created equal, right?
Yeah, and they change.
Yeah.
This is a industry that changes quickly sometimes, slow.
Don't accuse us
others.
of that now.
But as an independent, we get to pick
who we represent and where and who we do business with. Really, is what you're saying. Picking and choosing who you do business with, both company wise and client wise.
That's right. So it gives us those options of placing the clients with the carrier we see that's best for them
And that
at that particular time.
And that captive agent, you're doing business with who that company wants to do business with. You're limited as far as your ability to go out and pick and choose client wise.
That's right. And to give it to their credit, I think the captives do a good job of bringing clients to their door.
Yeah.
May not always be the client that person wants. It may not fit that particular agency. But to give them some credit, they do, I believe, bring them some clients that as an independent agent, we've got to go find ourselves.
The captive model to me is simple, right? It's simple. It's easy to digest. I'm not saying it's easy, but it's easy to digest. The independent model, there's more moving parts. We're talking about carriers and clients right now, but those options don't really end there, right? I mean, I know with us, you really spearhead a lot of the technology efforts that we make as an agency, right?
Yeah, we play around with a lot of different technology. The world, a number of years ago started this InsurTech talk.
Yeah.
And so InsurTech, I think, has gone through various cycles. Mm-hmm. I'm not the expert on technology. I'm sure there's other podcasts out there that do a really good job with InsurTech.
Yeah.
We know how to use it for our agency. We're going to try different things. And it's, we've talked about it. It's agency management systems, getting the right one for us. It's marketing platforms. It's CRM. And it is some of these new InsurTechs that have partnered with different folks throughout there that do have some really cool things.
Yeah.
Some of them work well. Some of them are still learning how to work.
Still figuring it out. I think at its core, what we're getting to here is the independent channel. You build your agency and you build your operation from the ground up, where the captive model is a little more, here's a solution in a box.
Yeah, and you talk about the box, and I think one of the things that has changed drastically is probably the offices and office location. And if you look at it pre-COVID, independent agents had offices. We still have offices. I see it less and less, and the location changing after COVID.
We work with a lot of startup agencies. And I can probably count on one hand how many go into a brick and mortar right out of the gate. You and I also both know a guy in the industry who's a little older than us, but he told me one time his marketing plan was the biggest sign he could afford in the highest traffic area. And this was in the 1970s in Kentucky, right?
Yeah.
Those days have changed. It's not as necessary these days, right?
It has changed. I mean, the whole workforce has changed. And I do think as an independent, so if we circle this back, as an independent insurance agency, we have the option to change how we want to change. If I drive down the road, I still see the captive signs on the storefront. I don't know if they're open or not. I've never knocked on them necessarily to see, but I believe they have to be in certain locations.
Yeah.
And as an independent agent, we could change, we could shift with what we think is best.
And that goes beyond just location. I mean, that's down to, if you're a captive agent and that company is the best thing in the market today, you're riding high. If they pull out of your county tomorrow, you're stuck. And whereas the independent agent, as you said, we can move on the fly. We can adjust to the market changes, which, happen often.
Yeah, we can pivot. Yeah, if we go right back to the carrier side, if something happens, we got to change with it.
Now, within all of this, we're talking, I'd say, more day-to-day operationally here. But the independent channel also offers options when it comes to the future and exiting the business, whether that's perpetuation, selling. I know that right now we're going through a transformation in the industry where there's a lot of older agents in the marketplace. And that captive agent is I don't want to say stuck, but they're kind of handcuffed to that company approving who they sell or perpetuate their agency to.
Yeah, I think even some cases, a captive agent can't perpetuate it down to their son or daughter. Doesn't always work. I think most cases it probably does work, but it's not a guarantee.
Right. There's some hoops you have to jump through. And I believe we actually have some members who joined the independent agency channel because of that. I mean, that's part of this. It's legacy.
Let's talk about commissions now.
Yeah.
Independent versus captive. How did the commission structure work? Is one better than the other? I certainly believe the independent agency channel is better and pays more. But to be honest with you, you talk to more agents, you talk to more people in the captive arena or people that have switched from the captive to independent. I've been an independent agent all my life. So I think you're better qualified to confirm or maybe not what I believe.
So I'll confirm your belief. I believe the independent agency, and I know the independent agency channel commissions are better. Now, I do think the captive market does a good job of marketing, as we talked about, and driving clients to this signage. And I do think the reason why they typically operate at a lower commission is because that company's spending that money already. And so in the independent channel, with the options we have, these companies are putting the onus on us to spend that money how we see fit. And we can build that marketing budget as big as we want or as little as we want. But that's why I believe we're operating at a higher commission level than the average sort of captive in the marketplace.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because if I look at for us, we are the ones here at our retail agency that need to drive the clients. We have to spend our marketing dollars, but we pick, to our point, our option is to pick certain clients, certain classes of business, certain locations that we feel we can help.
Yeah.
Whereas what you're saying is the captive takes the money from them, helps drive them business, may not be what they want.
They have no say in where they're spending those dollars and who they're driving it to. They're just there to help write the policy on the back end of all this action.
Okay. So I'll take it. Independent agent makes higher commission on a typical basis is what we believe here.
Higher commission, and then you get control over how you spend those dollars to then help continue to grow your business.
Hey, yeah, thank you for listening. Another edition of Build Your Legacy Insurance Edition podcast. We see you next week. Thanks for tuning in. You can catch our Build Your Legacy Insurance Edition podcast on YouTube, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast. Be sure to subscribe, leave us a review, or send us over a topic recommendation at podcast@siaofnc.com. If you're interested in learning more about what we do, visit us online at www.siaofnc.com. We hope you enjoyed our newest episode. See you next week.